Hey, how's it going? Paul Casper here, and I thought I had a few minutes before class, so I might put together a little video about um, navigation, mobile first navigation in particular. I've put together a sample mobile design, and so I just want to show you kind of what we're looking at here and what we're going to create. So I've got pretty much just a mobile first, real simple, one column design here, focusing today's energy on navigation. And as the screen or viewport gets bigger, eventually we will get a media query in here and change the design of that navigation. So again, I've got most of this built mobile first. I'm just going to focus on the navigation part today with media query integration. And all right, so I got my start file here. Pretty much just need any design with some sort of navigation in there, and you can see where I'm starting. I've got my design put together, and I saved my navigation for later. So I'm going to focus again in on this area. And so with that, I'm just going to go into my Dreamweaver and hook up, excuse me, hook up my site so I can have a little bit easier job with managing my files. And so I've got a previous tutorial on hooking up the site. You can follow along here as well. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, all kinds of stuff. Which one am I doing today? Let's see, mobile first start. All right. And sure, I'm going to allow stuff because I don't know what that said. And I'm going to actually just change my preferences to the dark interface because I prefer it. I feel like we can see the code a little bit better during the demos. So opening up my index page once I hook everything together. Boom, 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 boom. Split view, you can see my live. I don't have much going on here. And of course, as we start styling navigation, the first thing we do is make a list so we can start targeting it with the CSS. So first thing I'm going to do is find my placeholder navigation, and I need to make that into list items in a list. Now you can do this using the insert panel in Dreamweaver. I'm going to hand code most of this stuff, but anything that you want to do in here you can find in the insert panel. So for instance, want to make this into a list, select the text, click the unordered list button, and now I've got an unordered list. If I wanted to make the home a list item, I could select that, go to list item, do the same sort of thing. So however you want to do it, that's fine with me. I'm just going to do a little bit of hand coding. You know what, I'll just do it this way. List item, list item, list item. List item is actually pretty quick. And so hit the tab in there. And I'm just trying to organize myself here a little bit so you can see what's going on easier. And you can just see that I've got, how many list items do I have here? I don't think I want that many. Home, hard candy, yeah, no. I'm just going to combine these two. And your navigation is going to have whatever kind of what you want on there. But essentially we're just kind of taking our navigation that we had placeholder, creating a list out of it so that we can start to target it with our CSS. Alright, so we've got our list put together. And next up we're going to start taking care of that CSS. We got some bullet lists here on our list, some bullet decorations here, and we're going to take these off and we're going to get rid of the automatic margin and padding that come with unordered lists in our first part. So in my styles.css, I'm going to write some stuff in here. I'm going to do a little navigation section. I think I'm just going to do a comment to myself. Oh, not question mark, let's do a slash. Nav stuff, star backslash. And so just kind of a little indicator to myself what's going on here. Looking at the HTML, I referred to my nav element as the main nav. So whatever you called your nav element, that's what you're going to want to target here. You could just call it nav, whatever it happens to be. So I called main nav. So all the styles I write are going to be targeting the main nav element and the nested elements within. I think before I actually get started with the CSS, I'm also going to create links out of these so I can watch things happen. And so I'm just going to do placeholder links for now. So I'm just going to double click the text itself. And down in the properties panel, I'm going to put the hashtag. Hashtag is a placeholder. Once I know actually where these pages are going to go, I can change the hashtag with the actual page name. The home page will probably be going to the index.html page, but I don't have any other pages written, so I'll use the placeholder text. So I'm just going to select the text. If you have to refresh the properties panel, do so. And I'm just going to use the hashtag placeholder in the rest of these. So again, you can hand code this if you want. I'm kind of going to use a mixture of Dreamweaver and hand coding, but you can see now up here I've got some links. They're active links, but they don't go anywhere. Hashtag placeholder link. Now back to my style sheet, and in my nav stuff section, I'm going to just start coding. So I'm going to do the main nav. I'm going to target the unordered list in the main nav. So I'm going to do this one by hand. I'll probably jump over to the CSS design panel eventually. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the padding, just do 0 on that to 0 out the padding. You can kind of see what's happening. Notice even though it's off the edge, the bolts are still there. I'll go margin, 0, 0 that out as well. Get rid of anything that might be on there, and then I'm going to do my text decoration. None. All right. Text decoration. Is that? Oh, no, that's not right. That's the underline on links. Paul, what are you thinking? We're going to go to list style type. There we go. None. Ooh, that could have been disastrous. All right, cool. All right, so we got the bolts gone, and we got all that extra padding and stuff away from that. And then I'm going to center the links, and again, I'm going to make my screen smaller. I'm designing mobile first, so I want to make sure that I'm previewing at a mobile first size now that we're kind of getting into the design aspect with our CSS. Again, I'm going to do a main nav because that's what I want to target, and I'm going to target the list items this time. And I'm just going to do a text align center because I want the text to be centered in my mobile navigation, and these are going to start looking a little bit better as we get going with our styling. Just going to center it, and then I'm going to start to style the links. So do another main nav, and notice it's pretty repetitive once we get into this. Main nav, and I'm going to go the ULLI a colon link, and the dot main nav ULLI a colon visited. And again, I'm just going to style the link and the visited exactly the same. This is a small site with just 4 pieces of navigation, so I don't think the user needs to see kind of a different look for where they've been. What I might do eventually is put in a current so they know what page they're on, but I don't know if we need the visited to actually happen on that. So got my main nav link and visited. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start doing a little bit of styling, and this styling is going to be site independent of what you want. You can do whatever you want for your design. I'm going to put a few things in here just so you can see what's going on, but for the most part, you can decide what you want to do. So I'm doing like a light gray text on that, and let's see, I'll make it bold, go font weight. And so you're just going to be able to see a few different things in here. I should have just typed a weight on that. Let's go bold. Font weight bold. What else should we do? Let's take the underlines off finally, not like last time, right? Text decoration, none. Get the underlines off there. We can do a background color of our links. Again, we've got a background color on our main nav, so we might not actually see this, but I'm just going to do the background color now, knowing that I'm going to want these to look button-like. So I'm going to put a background color, and then I've got a brand that I'm working with, so I've got the hex code here for myself, 925664. It's kind of that. You can see the color on that. And what else do I want to do? To put a little vertical space between those, just kind of space them out a little bit. So margin bottom 0.75 EM on that. Alright, so we got our link and our visited. Let's do same thing for the hover. Main nav, ULLI, a colon hover. Do that, and so let's do a little hover effect. I'm just going to change the color of the text. hashtag 41202C from this particular design. And background color, let's do hashtag F7C 5DB. So again, you might have a color scheme picked out for your design. I'm just kind of matching with some different colors throughout the header that I picked out. So we can see now that we got a little bit of hover effect on our links. And so let's go ahead and let's take maybe take the background color off the main nav element. We got I think we got a main nav content box. I'm just got this background color here. I'm just going to comment it out so that I can maybe add it back in later if I want it, but for now I'm just doing mobile first. So I'm just applying the little comment here. And you can see what we got going on. So these are looking a little more button-like, although you think about your finger, the click area is not very big right now. So you probably aren't going to be able to hit these with pinpoint accuracy. So we're going to go in and we're going to adjust a few things with that as well. Okay, so we're going to continue working with our links here as well. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a display block. And what that's going to do is going to let these elements stretch to the size of their container. So you're going to see, as soon as I display block, that they stretch out side to side, no longer just the side of the text. So a display block is going to make it go edge to edge. Got that little 0.75 bottom margin between these to separate them out a little bit, but we still need a little bit of space to make them more clickable. So I'm just going to add some padding on the top and bottom because we've got left to right space already clickable. I'm just going to add some 1 EM to the top, padding bottom, 1 EM as well, just kind of make them more chunky. All right, so you can kind of see where we're headed with this in terms of how we're going to look. And maybe I'll do a border radius. I'll do rounded corners just to kind of show you something a little bit different. So the border radius is going to let you eventually look at there. Border radius, I'll just do a 5px on that. So you got little rounded corners on here. You don't have to have that stuff. I just put it on for fun. And then I want to make this feel a little bit better as far as like having some space. So I've got to go back into my main nav. Now that I've kind of got my design put together here, my main nav element. I know I took off the background color before, but on this main nav, I used the 1M before, so I'm going to do a padding left and right on the main nav to squeeze them in. So padding left, 1 EM, padding right, and you can see my preview. At this point, padding right, 1 EM, and then I'm going to do a little bit of along the top as well to get a little bit of white space up there. 1 EM as well. So now I've got that working out a little bit better for me. Looks a little more clickable, a little more chunky for our mobile first navigation. Again, live view is kind of funky. You might have to switch back and forth between design view and live view to kind of see what's happening. But of course, there's no better replacement than actually doing a real-time preview and checking in a browser. I feel like this is working out pretty well right now. You can kind of see where we're headed with that. So we have our mobile first navigation, real simple list. You know, someday we might put our hamburger menu up here, but for now we got to kind of get the structure set and get that look and feel of how we want. I'll make sure I save this as I keep moving forward. And now, you know, maybe it's time to think about what it's like on a desktop. Looking at the design, this is not very nice, so we might want to switch sort of the look and feel on the desktop version. I could do the same stuff with the content, of course. You know, but we're focusing on the navigation for this little demo. So I'm just going to switch my browser more to a desktop view. So a little bit working with the 1000 pixel grid. So we'll start with that. You can put your media queries wherever you want, wherever the design starts to break. So you know, obviously mobile first. We're in here somewhere, and probably in here somewhere. You know, it's getting too big for those big chunky buttons. I might switch the layout, but I'm just going to do one media query, targeting about that 1000 pixels for me there. All right, so let's put a media query in there. And so if we use Dreamweaver, we can click this little plus button. on there. I'm going to do the min width since I'm designing mobile first. And I'm going to change the value to M. And I'm going 62.5 to target that 1000 pixel equivalent in the M's. And again, we like to use M's for when users zoom pixels, your media queries don't react as consistently as with M's. So we're just going to use M's for that. And I'm not going to create a new style sheet. I'm going to, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't want a new style sheet. What are you doing? Let's try this again. I forgot to change this. All right, so let's go back to the min width. Let's go back to the M, 62.5, and I'm going to add it to my styles.css. So it's going to put it at the bottom in my cascade. Don't forget to do that, folks. And then now we're going to just kind of change how it looks within the media query. So since I'm designing not mobile first anymore, I'm going to make sure that my preview is out into the media query here so I can see what's happening with that. And now we're just changing how it looks. And again, we need to write styles down below. They're going to overwrite the styles up here from up above. And so anything we don't overwrite is still going to take the values from the mobile first, but anything we want to overwrite or change, we've got to add down here. So I'm going to take my list items and float them to the left so that they have a little bit more, less width across the whole top. So go main nav, ul li, and we're going to float those to the left, and we'll float those to the left. Let's do a margin right, and I'm going to do, I don't know, maybe just like a 4% margin on the right to space them out a little bit. And let's see what's going on. Again, could be kind of crazy, just design versus live view. Let's see, what did I do wrong here? Preview. Oh, well, this is interesting. I know what I did. While I wait, guess what? Paul should be more careful when he does his typing. It's not main, it's main nav. There we go. See, little things catch up to us all the time. Now check this out. So again, I put that margin right on there, just to space them out so we could see a little bit what's going on. Right now we've got our hover and everything, it's all active, but because we floated these list items in the main nav element, the main nav is now collapsed on itself, so our content has squished back up and it's kind of invading our space. So there's a clear fix trick for this. So this is adding clear. A bit of a hack, but it kind of helps keep boxes open when everything inside those boxes are floating. So we're gonna just in the bottom of our CSS mobile first, so not in the media query, but mobile first. We're gonna add the clear fix trick. So I think we've covered this in a previous lesson, but I think this came from Chris Coyer on CSS tricks to kind of help with this margin or this box collapse issue. So you can go find it out there, but I'm just going to do a clear fix after. And content, boom, doing these deals. Get all the content in there. Display, let's type correctly, table. So again, this is all pulled from csstricks.com, this particular thing. And what this is going to do is going to allow our box to stay open. So once we apply this class to our main nav, this welcome should drop down a little bit on that. So in our source code, we've got to also add the clear fix. And now it kicked it down. So we're just going to put this clear fix class on any boxes that might collapse on themselves when everything on the inside has a float. Okay, let's get back to the CSS. Let's design that desktop design. All right, so in the main nav, we're going to want a solid background color. That's what I decided on the design. You can do what you want with yours. So I'm just going to overwrite what I had before up above. Main nav. I'm just going to give my main nav box a background color. So I remember I took it out before. Up above, background color. I'm going to put it back in for my desktop design. 25664. So now I've got this going on. Nice solid background color on there. Padding's a little bit crazy, so I'm just going to zero out the padding that I'd pulled in on the mobile first design to zero out the padding. Got some bottom margins still. We're going to clean all this up a little bit. But again, this is your design. Do what you want. If you like this, keep it. I don't really like this right now. But we can see mobile first, desktop. So we're kind of changing the look and feel with a little bit of CSS. Alright, so let's style the links now a little bit. Let's clean these up. So again, we're going to be kind of overriding all this stuff right now. You can retype everything down in your media query, or you can just take the beginning of this. Don't copy everything. Don't just copy and paste everything. But I'm just going to copy and paste the rule here. And put there. Boop. And I'm just going to overwrite the things that I don't want to be happening anymore. So in this case, I want to take the border radius off. I don't like the roundedness on here, so I'm just going to clear it. That's right, this is a long list. Border radius. Let's go 0. I got squares now. That's kind of nice. Take off the bottom margin. So notice we got the bottom margin below the links, kind of right down here. So we don't want that anymore either. So we'll go margin bottom 0. So I just got to clear out the settings from up above. That's looking a little bit better. And I could do some padding on the left and right to kind of space these out a little bit. So it's kind of a little tight here. Again, your design, you decide. Padding left. Let's go 40px just for fun. A little offset now, so let's also maybe do a padding right, 40px. And so now these are spaced, you know, the size of the buttons are determined by how many characters are in each link, so this one's bigger than this one. We have a little bit of a weird gap between here that I would expect to start to trigger one of the links as we crossed over. But that's a start. So I think what I'm going to do is also, remember we added that 4% margin on the list items just to space them out earlier. I think I'm going to actually just take that off right now. And then the links are going to butt up against each other like that. So we got some mobile first design using media query. And again, we're just overriding the list in the settings in the media query up above here to change the look and feel, and designing mobile first. We didn't really have to do that much work to get a completely different stuff. So you're going to have to do some experimenting with the settings, which you want to take control of, and just kind of go from there. So I got this left aligned here. On the left, you know, maybe I want my navigation to maybe float to the right. So in that case, I got my nav floating left here. How would I just say float to the right? Now we've got right aligned. If we wanted the text to be centered, I'm going to, on my main nav UL, which I don't have in here yet, let me go ahead and center it. I'm just going to add another one. I'm going to say, whoa, what am I going to say? I think I'm going to say text align center. I'm going to center my unordered list in here, and I'm not going to float my list items. I'm going to take the float off of those, and then see now all of a sudden they're like stacking. So once I took the float off, they're now top to bottom, so I have to actually go back in, and I'm going to do the display. And if I did block, you know, it's going to stay the same. They're going to stretch. If I did inline, doesn't really do what I want either. Not sure why, so I'm going to do an inline block. When I do that, now my text stays centered, block elements, and I've got centered text. So just got to do some experimenting. So I did left, right, and centered for just this typical navigation for a desktop design. I'm going to, next version of this, we're going to maybe do the hamburger menu and sort of kind of go from there, but we've got this set up now. Mobile first, as our screen gets bigger, our design breaks, we can trigger it to be a different size. And if you don't like where it's at now, say this is really ugly, we don't like this, you can always change your media query size from the bigger grid, maybe to like the 42M design. And I'm centered in the 42M design, and all of a sudden I want to get to the 1000 pixels, add another media query in here at 62.5 below that, and just adjust the settings we did before to change the design one more time. So there you have it, mobile first design. Start with the mobile first. I had placeholder text in there until I wanted to tackle my navigation design, and then from there I did mobile navigation and put in a media query and decided to change how that looked based on the size of the viewport. And that is it for this lesson. Have fun. Again, your design, your CSS. This is just a starting point. You can take it wherever you want to go from here. So until we get the next one, talk to you later. Bye.